Let's get one thing straight. When a woman starts losing interest, most men panic. They start chasing harder, texting more, over-explaining, begging for clarity, and doing everything they think will fix it. But here's the raw truth. When a woman pulls back, the worst thing you can do is react emotionally. That's exactly what kills whatever attraction is left. You have to understand something powerful about modern dating. Interest is never guaranteed. A woman can be all in today and cold tomorrow. It doesn't always mean you did something wrong. It might just be her nature to test, get bored, or seek validation. But how you respond to her shift in energy determines everything. That's what separates the average guy from the man who commands respect and reignites desire. This isn't about manipulation. This is about understanding masculine self-control, emotional discipline, and high-value positioning. If you react like every other guy, desperate, needy, confused, she'll never see you as the man worth chasing again. But if you do the right things, or more importantly, avoid doing the wrong things, you immediately shift the dynamic back in your favor. In this video, I'm going to break down 5 deadly mistakes most men make when a woman starts losing interest, and then give you 2 powerful steps that flip the script and get her attracted again. Each section will be straightforward, deep, and rooted in real-world behavior. No theory, no fluff. Just what works. If you want to be the kind of man who doesn't just react to a woman's disinterest, but uses it as a moment to turn the tables, this is for you. Let's dive in. Let's. Section 1. Stop chasing harder. This is the most common reaction men have when a woman starts pulling away. They go into chase mode. The calls increase. The texts become longer. They try to be funny, sweet, romantic, even desperate. But here's the harsh truth. Chasing harder when a woman is losing interest only confirms what she's already beginning to suspect. That you need her more than she needs you. And in the modern dating world, nothing kills attraction faster than that dynamic. When you chase harder, you remove all the mystery. You give her the emotional high ground. She sees your attention as easy, as guaranteed, and women are hardwired to devalue what's always available. You may think you're being caring, or showing her how much she means to you, but what she feels is pressure. You're not winning her back, you're crowding her space and making her even more unsure. Think about it. If she's distancing herself and you close in even more, you've just trained her to believe that withdrawing from you earns more effort from you. So now, your chasing is not attractive. It's a reward for her indifference. That's backward energy. That's feminine energy. And that's exactly what drives her deeper into emotional distance. What works instead is doing the opposite. You must slow down. You must get still. You must mirror her withdrawal, not to punish her, but to protect your value. You become scarce, unpredictable, and calm. That creates curiosity. It makes her wonder what happened to the guy who used to be all over her. And that's where the power begins to shift. Real masculine energy doesn't chase validation. It doesn't seek emotional permission. It allows a woman the space to feel your absence. Because often, when you stop chasing, she starts thinking. She starts remembering. She starts feeling the emotional gap that your silence creates. But none of that can happen if you're blowing up her phone, showing up uninvited, or trying to win her back with sweet words. A high-value man never chases harder when interest drops. He steps back with confidence and emotional control. He knows that desire cannot be forced, only reignited. And distance is often the spark. Section 2. Never beg for reassurance. When a woman starts to lose interest, it creates a deep discomfort inside most men. You begin to feel uncertain, confused, maybe even panicked. So what do most guys do? They go straight to asking for reassurance. Is everything okay between us? Did I do something wrong? Do you still feel the same about me? These sound innocent, but they come from a place of weakness. And that weakness is felt more than it's heard. Here's what you have to understand as a man. The moment you start begging for clarity, comfort, or validation, you've already lost ground. It's not that communication is wrong. It's that timing and tone matter. When she's already pulling away and you're the one emotionally chasing, asking for answers only makes her feel more powerful in the dynamic. And whether she says it out loud or not, the more emotional control she has, the less attraction she feels. Modern women are drawn to men who appear certain, even when things are uncertain. That's what creates stability and intrigue. When you ask her to explain her shift in energy or try to fix it by talking it out too soon, it signals that your emotional state depends on her. That's not strength, that's dependence. And she feels it. In today's dating world, women are constantly bombarded with men who are too emotionally available too soon. And while the world may tell you vulnerability is attractive, unfiltered emotional neediness is not. You have to know the difference. The man who wins her interest back isn't the one asking questions. It's the one who stays grounded, observes the change in energy, and responds by focusing on his own emotional center. Let me make this even clearer. When you say, "You seem different lately, is everything okay between us?" What she hears is, "I feel insecure because you're not acting how I want, and I need you to fix my feelings." That's pressure, that's unattractive, and that's a signal to her that you don't trust your own value. On the other hand, when you notice her pulling back and respond with silence, calm energy, and presence in your own life, it forces her to sit with her own thoughts and uncertainty. That's power. A woman's interest doesn't grow from pity, sympathy, or explanations. It grows when she senses that you don't need her validation to feel strong. So the next time you're tempted to ask her what's going on, pause. Ask yourself, is this for clarity, or am I trying to make her fix my emotions? Because when you stop begging for reassurance and start reclaiming your frame, you become the one she wants to figure out, not the other way around. Section 3. Don't try to remind her of the past. One of the most damaging things men do when a woman begins to lose interest is try to bring up memories, old moments, or emotional highlights from the past. They say things like, "But remember how happy we were just last month?" Or, "You said you loved how I made you feel. What happened?" It comes from a good place, a desire to reconnect, but it's a tactical mistake that almost always backfires. Here's why. When a woman is emotionally pulling away, she's living in the present. Her current feelings are dictating her behavior, and those feelings are no longer as strong as they once were. Trying to drag her mentally back to the past doesn't reignite attraction. It makes you look emotionally stuck. It shows that you're resisting the reality of the moment and hoping that nostalgia can revive something that she no longer feels in the same way. And unfortunately, that creates pressure, not passion. When a man keeps referencing the past, a woman doesn't think, "Wow, he really cares." She thinks, "He doesn't get it. He's stuck in what we were, not who I'm feeling he is now." The modern dating world moves fast. Emotions evolve. Attraction shifts. And when a woman starts drifting, she's not looking backward. She's observing how you handle the now. That's what tells her whether you're still a man worth feeling drawn to. Trying to remind her of how good things used to be also sends another hidden message, that you don't know what else to offer in the present. It can make you sound like a man whose best moments are behind him. That kills momentum. Women want to feel a man who is grounded in the now, unpredictable, calm, centered, not clinging to romantic flashbacks. This doesn't mean you forget the history you built, but when she starts pulling away, the last thing you want to do is emotionally reach backward. Instead, you focus forward. You subtly communicate that you are still progressing, still growing, still unfazed, that you enjoyed what you had, but you're not emotionally anchored to it. That's attractive. That signals abundance. That tells her, "I can cherish the past without needing it." Let her be the one who remembers. Let her be the one who starts to wonder, why is he so unfazed by our distance? Why isn't he trying to talk about old times like other guys would? That silence, that poise, that forward energy. That's what starts to bring the spark back. You don't revive interest by reminding her of what you had. You revive it by becoming someone she wants to explore again, right now. Section 4. Never compete with other men. When a woman starts to lose interest, One of the worst traps a man can fall into is trying to compete with other men for her attention. Maybe she starts mentioning a male friend more often. Maybe she posts pictures that seem like they're aimed at getting a reaction. Maybe she becomes more active on social media, dressed up, hinting at a life that doesn't include you. And what do most guys do? They respond by trying to prove that they're better than the other guy. They compare, they get jealous, they try to outshine, and in doing so, they fall straight into the trap. You have to understand this. If you're trying to prove your worth against another man, you've already lost. You've shifted the frame. Instead of being the prize, the grounded man who moves with certainty, you've become the reactive one. You've turned the interaction into a competition. And a high-value man doesn't compete for what he shouldn't have to earn twice. Women instinctively test men this way, not always consciously, but often emotionally. When she senses your insecurity, she may subtly bring up another guy just to see how you handle it. If you react with jealousy, confrontation, or even by trying to outdo the other man, you reveal a lack of internal control. You show that your confidence is easily shaken. And worse, you give power to the idea that another man could take your place. The right move isn't to get louder, flashier, or try to outplay him. The right move is to do nothing. That's right, nothing. You don't flinch, you don't ask questions, you don't dig, you don't respond emotionally. Why? Because your value is not threatened by another man's presence. Your worth doesn't need defense. When you show emotional stillness, you show strength. And that strength is what women feel deep in their instincts. If she's testing your reaction, your calmness is the answer. If she's truly exploring someone else, your silence is your shield. If she's unsure where she stands, your self-respect becomes the reminder. But the moment you try to fight for her like a contestant, you become just another option, not the standard. Let me give you something even deeper. When a man knows he's valuable, he's not afraid of being replaced. He knows he brings more than charm. He brings leadership, emotional security, clarity, direction, and masculine calm, things most men lack. That's what makes a woman circle back. That's what makes her second guess losing you. But she won't feel any of that if you're too busy worrying about who she might be texting or trying to prove that you're better than him. So next time you feel the urge to react to another man in her orbit, stop, smile, breathe, walk away if you have to, but never compete. Because the moment you compete, you confirm you're losing. Section 5. Stop explaining yourself. When a woman starts to emotionally check out, it can trigger something deep in a man, the desire to explain. He wants to make her understand his intentions, his actions, his love. He tries to justify his behavior, clear up any misunderstandings, or convince her why she shouldn't be pulling away. It sounds noble, even logical. But in the real world of attraction, explaining yourself too much is one of the most unattractive things you can do. Let me be clear. Communication is important, but over-explaining is not communication. It's a form of seeking approval. When you feel the need to constantly justify your behavior, you send one subtle but deadly message. I don't think you see my worth, so let me convince you. That kills mystery. That kills authority. That kills the natural polarity that fuels feminine attraction to a masculine presence. In the modern dating world, women are not drawn to the man who pleads his case like a defense attorney. They're drawn to the man who knows who he is and lets his actions speak. If she doesn't understand you, he doesn't overcompensate. He allows her to either lean in and figure him out or walk away. And either way, he's at peace. That's the frame of a high-value man. When you try to explain why you said something, why you acted a certain way, why you didn't respond fast enough, or why you've been distant, what you're really doing is putting your emotions in her hands. You're hoping she'll say, "Oh, now I get it. You're still worthy of my affection." But here's the catch. Attraction doesn't work that way. It's not logical, and you can't talk a woman into feeling something she's emotionally withdrawing from. Sometimes the more you explain, the more you expose. You show emotional gaps, uncertainty, a lack of control. And that turns her off even more. Think about how often you've tried to talk things out, thinking she'd come around, only for her to become colder, shorter, or more distant afterward. It's because words can't fix what behavior and presence should have already communicated. The most magnetic men don't waste energy trying to be understood. They focus on being centered. They say what they need to say, once, clearly and calmly. Then they leave space. If she respects that space, she starts leaning back in. If she doesn't, he doesn't chase. He keeps moving forward. So if you're tempted to explain your behavior to regain her attention, stop. Ask yourself, am I trying to be understood or am I trying to be accepted? If the answer is the second, you're chasing validation. And that's not attractive. Hold your frame. Speak with clarity, not with desperation. Because the man who needs to explain himself is the man who feels he's already losing ground. And that's not who you are. Section 6. Don't try to fix her feelings. When a woman starts pulling away, many men make the critical mistake of trying to fix her emotions. They sense the distance, notice her coldness, and immediately go into hero mode, trying to talk her out of how she feels. They say things like, "I just want to make you happy again," or "Tell me what I can do to make things better." At first glance, this sounds like compassion, but underneath, it's weakness disguised as love. Here's the raw truth. You can't fix how a woman feels. Her emotional state is not a project you can repair. She is not a broken machine that needs you to come in with your emotional toolbox and tighten a few screws. That's not your role. That's not what earns her respect. If anything, that mindset makes her feel more pressure. And pressure is the last thing a woman wants when she's emotionally withdrawing. When you try to fix her feelings, what you're really saying is, "Your emotional state is making me uncomfortable, and I need it to change so I can feel okay again." That's not leadership. That's neediness. And women can feel that from miles away. The more you try to fix, the more she feels smothered, misunderstood, and even more disconnected from you. In today's dating world, a woman's attraction grows toward the man who can hold space, not fill it with noise. That means instead of trying to make her feel better, you stay grounded. You notice the change in her vibe, but you don't react emotionally. You don't try to cheer her up like a clown. You don't ask 20 times, "Are you okay?" You remain calm, present, and detached from the outcome. That calmness creates emotional safety, and emotional safety is where attraction reboots. Let's take this deeper. A man who tries to fix her feelings is uncomfortable with negative emotion. But the man who can sit in the tension without trying to change it is the man she instinctively trusts. He becomes an anchor in her emotional storm. That's leadership. That's strength. That's rare. Imagine this. She's cold, distant, clearly off. Most men would rush to reassure her, apologize for things they didn't do, or ask too many questions. But you stay cool. You're kind, but you don't chase. You observe, but you don't intrude. You don't give her forced positivity. You give her space and the gift of your calm presence. Over time, that space becomes louder than words. And in that space, she either reconnects with her feelings or she fades away. But either way, you remain the man who didn't fall apart trying to control what wasn't his to control. Your job as a man is not to fix how she feels. Your job is to stand tall regardless of how she feels. That's what creates real power. That's what makes her look at you again and think he feels different. Section 7. Shift focus back to yourself. At some point, after the panic fades and the confusion settles, every man has a choice to make when a woman starts losing interest. He can either keep spiraling, overthinking, texting, explaining, chasing, or he can pause, breathe, and make the boldest move of all, shift the focus back to himself. And this isn't just about distraction, it's about reclaiming your center. Because the moment a woman starts withdrawing, the worst thing you can do is keep pouring energy into someone who's no longer matching it. Let's make one thing clear. A high-value man's attention is currency. It is not free, it is not scattered, it is not given without reciprocation. So when you start to feel her pulling away, that's the moment you stop investing in her and start reinvesting in you. That means your habits, your routines, your mission, your mind, and your peace. Most men try to fix the woman, but the smart man fixes his focus. That's what creates gravity. That's what rebalances the dynamic. And in the modern dating world, where women are constantly surrounded by men trying to win them over, the one who becomes deeply focused on himself is the one who stands out without saying a word. You have to rewire your instincts. When she's not texting, you hit the gym. When she goes cold, you pick up a book, hit your goals, build your business. When her energy fades, yours should rise. Not to win her back, but to win yourself back. Because nothing makes a woman think twice like a man who doesn't beg, doesn't chase, and doesn't shrink. A man who stays in motion. Here's the beauty of it. The moment you redirect your energy toward yourself, she starts to feel something she wasn't expecting. Absence. And absence creates curiosity. Curiosity leads to re-evaluation. That's where interest is reborn. But even if it's not, you've still won. Why? Because you didn't lose yourself over someone else's wavering emotions. Understand this deeply. Masculine energy is not reactive. It's directed. A man leads his life forward, no matter who joins or leaves. When she feels that, not hears it, but feels it, her respect returns. Maybe even her attraction. But if you stay stuck in her orbit, trying to convince, explain, or perform, she feels no reason to return. Because she knows exactly where you are, orbiting her. Let her drift if she needs to. You stay on your path. You rise, evolve, and deepen your discipline. You become sharper. You become more grounded. You become more focused. Because when you shift the focus back to yourself, you don't just take back your power. You remind her why she was drawn to you in the first place. When a woman starts to lose interest, it's not the end, it's a test. A test of your emotional control, your self-worth, and your ability to lead yourself. Most men fail by reacting, chasing, or trying to fix what isn't theirs to fix. But the man who holds his frame, pulls back his energy, and focuses on himself becomes the one she can't forget. Because strength, mystery, and emotional discipline are rare, and women are drawn to what they can't easily figure out. So remember, don't chase her, don't explain yourself, just shift your focus and watch what happens.